Welcome back to This is VANCOLOUR. My name is Mo Amir. We've been talking about social media outrage, but can any good ever come out of any social media outrage? Well, our next guest proved that sometimes online outrage can blossom into something kind of cool. A contributing editor to Maclean's magazine and a local journalist whose work you can find in the Walrus, the Tyee, and Canadian Business, she is Michelle Cyca. Michelle.
Hi, Mo.
Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So you recently had some online controversy, some outrage that you generated. Jesse Brown of Canadaland podcast was talking to comedian Mark Maron, and he said, and I want to get this quote correctly, that no one has ever been inspired by Vancouver to write a great novel. You took offense to this.
I did, yes. One of the things I write about a lot is books and Canadian authors. And so just off the top of my head, I could think of so many great books that were inspired by Vancouver.
Yeah.
And to say that there's none about the city was just like so patently wrong to me that I felt like I would just make a tiny list of some of my favorites. And I was really like happily amazed by how many people responded to add their own.
Well, I think that was the cool part of it, is that part of it was like this reactionary response of like, hey, how can you say that, Jesse Brown? And then you gave your own examples, and then so many people added theirs. I mean, I even jumped in that list. I shouted out Charlie Demers and Property Values. When we think about great books that were set in Vancouver or inspired by Vancouver, what are your sort of go-to recommendations, including ones that came out of this outrage?
I mean, I had a bunch in my list that I still think are amazing, like Eden Robinson's Trickster trilogy is mostly set in Vancouver. Jessica John's new novel Bad Cree starts out in Vancouver, which is amazing. But there's a huge wealth of literature, not all of it new, that is published in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. So a book that a couple of people also mentioned is Helen Poderbanko's 1970s novel Taxi, which is drawn from her experiences of driving a cab in the downtown east side.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's this amazing kind of fragmentary, like stream of consciousness novel just about being really immersed in these neighborhoods that have always been really tough for people living in poverty to survive in. That's told with like so much humanity and empathy. It's a really amazing book. And another one that I'm actually reading with my book club right now is Junie by Shalene Knight. Which is a coming-of-age story that's set in Hogan's Alley in the 1930s.
Oh, wow, okay. Cool.
Yeah, so this amazing, vibrant portrait of Vancouver's historic Black neighborhood that was destroyed to make room for the viaducts, which I think we can all agree now.
A history that is forgotten and now being revived a little more with the Hogan's Alley Society, for sure.
Exactly, yeah. So an incredible portrait of that time and place in Vancouver. And another book I really loved last year that after reading hundreds of replies I didn't see anyone else mention is Ghost Forest by Pic Xuan Feng, who's a Vancouver author who now lives in Brooklyn. And it's a really beautiful story about grief and loss, but it's inspired by her experience being part of one of the families that moved from Hong Kong in the 1980s and 90s before the handover to China.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And being part of a family that was called an astronaut family, where her father lived in Hong Kong and supported the family here in Vancouver.
Right.
So a really amazing and tender portrait of this very Vancouver immigrant experience.
Totally.
That's a really beautiful story about losing your father, and also a beautiful story about Vancouver.
I just love how, again, this very reactionary tweet did create something positive, because I think it made a lot of people reflect on, oh yeah, what are the great novels set in Vancouver? And I know for me, I'll be exploring this list a lot more and trying to explore novels that were written in the city as well. So I think it was so cool that something positive came out of this outrage.
Yeah, I heard from so many people who were talking about how they were going to pick up all these books on the list. The amazing local bookstore Massey Books made a reading list of Vancouver novels for people to peruse, and also short stories and nonfiction. So I feel like a lot more people are discovering Vancouver books now, which is great. So I hope Jesse Brown says more inflammatory things about Vancouver in the future.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for proving that outrage doesn't necessarily have to be negative. It can be positive, and it can highlight some really wonderful things.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Folks, that's freelance journalist and one of the fiercest defenders of Vancouver, Michelle Cyca. And that's it for tonight's show. Thank you so much to Danica Thibeault, JJ McCullough, and Michelle Cyca for tonight's outrageous show. Of course, if you want more, find This Is VANCOLOUR on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Czech Media's YouTube channel, and the Czech Plus app. Wow, Joel McHale was right. You really can find us everywhere. But for now, this is VANCOLOUR, and I'm Mo Amir telling you that in a province where you can be anything, be colorful. Peace.